I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars, he's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the tank.
I am the tank, big tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Tank. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Big Tank Talk. Today, we have the very distinct pleasure of interviewing and getting to know IantheMauro. Ianthe, I did say that correctly, yes?
You said it perfectly. Yes.
Outstanding. You're a person who wears many hats, so we'll get into that when we start actually asking you questions. For now, let me start with, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be on Clapper.
I was on an app called Clubhouse, and Clubhouse was social audio. There was no video at all, no videos. Probably a lot of you have heard of it. And I had established myself over there as someone who was coaching mostly women on how to create candle companies from their homes. It was during the pandemic, so people were stuck at home, and a lot of people were complaining to me saying, I love expensive candles and now I can't afford to buy them because I'm furloughed. I lost my job. I'm now working from home, but I now more than ever need my community, my home, to be like my community. So I want it to be beautiful and ambient and smell good. And hey, Leah. And so I helped them start these companies. And I think I had 200 when I counted it once, there were 200 women that started candle companies that I got to coach. So that was really fun. I took no money for it. It was just something that I wanted to do to give back. So I was doing that, and I had this following on Clubhouse. And one day I was there and someone said, there's a new app you have to try. And what's funny about that, for you OGs, I apologize, Ashmar, you're going to laugh at this. They were telling me it was a new app, and that it wasn't a new app. It had been around for over 2 years when I joined, but they thought it was new because they had just discovered it. So I came in with this whole group, this whole influx from Clubhouse. And I was amazed because I had always resisted TikTok. I'm that person that I technically have a TikTok because for business, I have my name and my handle everywhere on all platforms, but I don't do anything with TikTok. I never watch the videos. Sorry, guys. I am not there doing anything. And so when I got to Clapper, I thought, this is my opportunity to bring together, like, this is where I can be really creative. And unlike Clubhouse, I can do videos. So I love it because I was resistant to TikTok. So to me, it was like the perfect fit. And that's when I came over. So it was a little over 2 years ago.
And we are happy you're here, believe me. So many questions that immediately popped in my head just from that. But let's start with this. I know you also have a candle business of your own. You're not just teaching other people how to do it. So would you tell us a little bit about your particular business?
Sure. In 2009, I started a company called Objects with Purpose. And the idea was actually, this is a part I haven't told before. I've never told this before. This is a Big Tank exclusive, people. You ready? I had a business partner when I first started, and she and I were doing this together. Both of us were going through hard times and for different reasons. She had actually lost her husband and was raising two daughters on her own. I was going through a divorce and some autoimmune disease. And so the two of us together, we thought, we're going to be able to do something together. What will it be? Let's do a candle company, because she and I were both obsessed with beautiful candles. And we found out that a lot of the candles were toxic that we were buying. So we were like, we need to make one that's healthy and safe for our kids and for us. And this will be our business. And then this is like a really weird thing for me, because I'm that person that I pride myself on having very long relationships. My friendships are very, very long. Basically, you can't get rid of me. When I'm your friend for life. I have the same friends I've had since I was 9 years old, Tank. And this woman and I were really, really good friends. But there are a couple of things that if it occurs in our friendship, I walk away. And this was a moment, and it was a very significant moment for me because I was afraid to be an entrepreneur by myself. I was afraid to use the term entrepreneur. I was afraid to even admit that I was creating my own company. It felt weird to me because I hadn't gone to business school. I felt like an imposter. I felt, how dare I? Who am I to do this? What is wrong with me? That's why I felt I needed the partner. But here's what happened. As we were going through the design process of creating our logo, creating the name of our company, which, by the way, the name of the company that we created was not Objects with Purpose. The name of the company that we created was Intentionistas. I just remembered this. So funny. But our tagline I came up with was Objects with Purpose. And my whole thing was, I'm only creating things that have meaning and purpose behind it and intention. So what did she do that made it so that we were no longer partners? She showed me that she was so afraid that at every turn, every time we had to make a decision, hey, Mandy, thank you so much. She would
Welcome in,
stop.
Mandy, Leah,
She
and
would just,
Nisi.
hey, welcome in. She would stop the process and she would say, no, that's not going to work. So we were going over for months. We were going through all these things. And I kept saying, you know, I'm a build the plane while you fly it person. I don't wait till things are perfect because there's no such thing. If I waited until everything was perfect, I would do literally nothing. I would be stalled
Right.
out, done, right? But she was very, very afraid. And so she refused to make a move. And so one day I said to her, you know what? Maybe to save our friendship, what we need to do is each create our own companies. There are a million candles out there in the world. Why don't we each do our own? We have different ideas. Let's do that. And I meant it for real, not to be competitive, but to really save our friendship. And I thought, and in the end, maybe I won't even create a candle company. And I remember that conversation because here's what she said, Big Tank. She said, I can say this on Clapper. This is why I love Clapper. Because, you know, people that know me know I don't really curse very often, and this isn't a really bad word, but this is what went down. The only time in my entire life I have been called this, I said to her, I would like to save our friendship. Let's do this separately or do something else. And she said, you are such a bitch.
Wow.
And I laughed because I had never been called a bitch before that. I never have been called that since. Because of all things, you can call me many things, but that's not one. It's just not part of my personality. And listen, I would own it, Big Tank. If I was even able to access a bitchiness, I would own it. I would tell you, that's just not me. So I started laughing. I was like, this woman doesn't know me. And she doesn't get access to me anymore. And that was the end of that friendship. And that's when I created Objects with Purpose on my own. So it was a very empowering moment because I was saying yes to me at a time when I was very afraid to say yes to me. And I was going to have to take my own advice. If I'm telling you not to be afraid and not to stop us at every turn, I need to stop being afraid and I just need to do this thing on my own. And so that's what I did. And that was in 2009, people. So we're talking 16 years ago, right?
And still going strong, yes?
And still going strong. I'm doing it differently. I've had different iterations of the company, but I still have Objects with Purpose. I'm actually in the process now of bringing everything to me in Georgia and getting it out. I could kept all of my production in California until now, and I just started bringing everything here so that I can create the business from here and do it a little bit differently.
Now,
Yeah.
I may not be one of your best friends here on Clapper, but I know you well enough to say I've never, ever seen anything that could be considered bitchy in you. So,
I
yeah,
know. Thank you for acknowledging that.
somebody to call you such a bitch, I think laughter was the perfect response to that.
Yeah, and I'll tell
Um,
you, this is the thing. It's a gift when people do that for you. I feel that happened for me because it showed me that I wasn't meant to be in relationship with her and I was giving way too much. So it was a gift.
so, Paul wants to know if you encountered many stumbling blocks starting your own business other than with your
So
business partner.
I have encountered so many. I will tell you, do not start your own company. Do not be an entrepreneur unless you are prepared to fail constantly. Failing forward is the way forward.
Oh, there we go. She'll be back in a minute.
Am I still in? Am I still here?
You're here now,
Yes.
yes.
Computer. Okay. Okay. So my candles appeared on the Today Show, and the first time they appeared on the Today Show, it was amazing. It surpassed my expectations. I sold. This is going to sound like I'm bragging, but I don't care, because this is what happened. And you should brag if you're creating your own thing and you're doing all this work. Please let everyone know the good and the bad, both. Right. So what happened was, hi, Miss Tracy. I sold on the first Today Show $125,000 in candles in a day. It
That's
was a
amazing.
game changer. No, it was, yes, it was like, I made it. I have a real business. I can't believe it. Now, it was a ton of work, and we don't need to get into like what I didn't tell you. I told you what I sold. I didn't tell you what I retained in profit. That's a very different story. I did it all wrong. I did a lot of bad calculations, and I failed in figuring out what the cost would be to ship the candles after everyone purchased them. And I offered this blanket, very cheap shipping, not knowing and realizing that that would hurt my profits so much. So even though I sold $125,000,
She did say she's having issue with her internet, folks, so just bear with her for a minute. And Denise, I got your question written down, so I will ask that one as soon as I get an opportunity.
and here's the thing, there's only certain things within our control, and most things are outside of our control. What was in my control to do, I did. I knew that my profit was all set up perfectly. I knew that this time, if I sold 125,000, I would retain at least 50% of that for me in my pocket. Wouldn't that be amazing, right? Well,
Oh,
here's
yeah.
what
Welcome
happened.
in, Frank.
The part that was really bad is that the second the show went live, I'm watching like this, because I remembered last time I'm watching it tick, like all these people buy. I watch it go 1, 2, 3, stop, and it just stops. And my phone starts ringing, and I start sweating. My face is red. I answer the phone. I'm so sorry. We're having a technical problem with the website, and we're unable to process any orders.
Oh, wow.
Now, here's the problem with that. Okay, so here's the problem. I had learned from the last show what had sold. So in order to get more profit out of the second one, I had pre-purchased.
Can't hear you. Still can't hear you. No, ma'am.
The earplug. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. We sure can.
Okay, let me try the earplugs again. It's because my daughter called, and I mean, bless her, right? See if you can hear me again, because better quality. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it work? Okay. So the point is, I had purchased all these things up front. So I had all this money into it. And then the technical glitch happened, which was no fault of mine. And again, I lost on that one. So I'm just letting you know, to answer your question, Peter, yes, I have had multiple failures, and I try to learn from each one.
Okay. Denise says, how is the transition moving your business to Georgia?
It sucks. It sucks. I want somebody to help. Calling me now. I'm just going to keep the earphone. My mom called. Isn't that cute? So it's very hard to move things. It's why I didn't do it until now. I moved, if you can imagine this, you guys, I moved from California to Georgia in 2019, and I have not moved my company here. Thank you, Sissy, until now. Now I'm moving it here. It took that long to figure out how to do it because my business was so well set up there. I also didn't want to take the job away from the person that was my main pouring person, and the person did my packing and shipping. These are moms. I created jobs for women who could do them from home. I didn't want to take that away from them just because I was moving. But the good thing that happened for me is she decided not to do the job anymore, which now opened up the possibility for me to move it without having to take away work from her. So it was the perfect opportunity. And now I'm moving everything, and it is hard. It is hard. And I need somebody, boots on the ground. If you're in California right now, in Southern California, and you want to help me, I need things put on a pallet so they can be shipped to me. So I don't have to fly there and do it.
And
So yeah.
Octopus Game says, would you consider selling your product on QVC?
Well, guess what? I am an official QVC vendor. So the answer is yes. And I became an official QVC vendor, but have never been on the show. And that will tell you something about QVC. When you're an official QVC vendor, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be selling, but eventually you might, and you have to keep on it. And I got tired of it. And I said, forget it. I don't want to chase these people anymore. I'm officially in the system. I still get their emails and updates for being in the system, but I haven't yet gone live. So it is something that when I feel like I have a new product that I really am excited about, and I've got the production going here in Georgia, I will circle back and I will knock on their door again and say, hey, guess what? I'm ready. You better be ready.
That's awesome. Now, just to show you, I did actually get into your content a bit. When's the last time you did flamenco dancing?
Well, officially, the last time I did flamenco dancing, probably when my kids were babies and we had a multicultural festival at their preschool. And that's the last time I danced flamenco with a group of other moms that knew how to do it, and my mom. So it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm assuming none of your kids are preschool age anymore.
My kids are now quite old, quite grown up, in their 20s. So this was a long time ago. Yeah.
Ms. Tracy says, do you have a website for people to buy from?
At the moment, I will say yes and no. So, Ms. Tracy, my website is my name, IantheMauro.com. It's also objectswithpurpose.com. Both point to the same website. However, if you go to IantheMauro.com, the only thing you can buy right now is, oh, you're losing service again for both. Oh, I love you. Bye, Leah. The only thing right now for sale, because I'm in this transition, are roll-on perfumes in this beautiful scent called Fertile Ground, which is an incredibly beautiful grounding and gender neutral. It works for men and women fragrance that I have, and I'm doing buy one, get one free. So at this moment, you can go to my website and buy that, but there's no candles at the moment on there or anything else. That's it. Grab them while you can.
All right, I got a two-pronged question. I'm going to incorporate Paul's question with one I already have written down. And we both looked through your videos, obviously. He said one of your videos talked about, you were asking people about the best advice they've been given. Paul wants to know what advice you have for us. And I would like to know what's the best advice you've ever received.
So what comes into my mind right away is tell the truth. Tell the truth to yourself first. And then please don't be afraid to tell the truth out in the world. And that doesn't mean exposing the truth. There's a difference. Telling the truth means you can still have secrets and you can still have privacy and you can still protect yourself. But there is so much that is not truthful out there, and especially on social media. And it's so easy to fall into lying. Why? Lying because I want to get along better. I want people to like me better. I want people to respect me more. Lying to myself because I want to pretend like I'm better than I am or I've done better than I am. Those things are very toxic to our system, and it's very misleading and toxic to others. So if you can, and also, yes, it's why you stay authentic and real. I love that you said that, J. Marie. Yes. So really, to me, all the advice that I've ever received and advice that I give, it really is based in this simple beginning of, are you telling the truth? Are you telling the truth to yourself? And are you telling the truth to others? And I would say the very best advice I've ever received, there's a lot. I soak up and drink and eat advice all day long. I love it. I want people to give it to me and I want to try it out. I would say the one that comes to mind is rejection is God's protection is one of my very favorite pieces of advice, because we're all going to get and experience rejection. If we can take that rejection and feel gratitude because we are being protected from something that wasn't meant for us, then that rejection becomes a gift. And that to me is an incredible piece of advice. And I use it a lot.
That's
So that's
pretty wise there. I'd be honest with you, I never thought about it that way, but I know I will in the future. Um, I suspect I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Um, who has been your biggest inspiration?
You think I'm going to say my mom, because I am.
Yeah.
Or my kids. It's now my kids, right? But since before my kids were born, my mom is my biggest inspiration. And for some of you might know my mom from, I brought her on the app. I actually have her on, she was been on Clapper and she's been with me and she's met some of you and she's really enjoyed it. My mom is my biggest inspiration because she broke some unbelievably painful, traumatic generational curses in the way that she raised me. And I'm so grateful because she could have just done the same thing the way that she was raised. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of neglect. There was a lot of poverty. And she did not raise me with any of those things. She raised me to question authority, trust my intuition, and above all, love, love, love. So she's my biggest inspiration.
I was pretty sure you were going to say your mom, and I have met her during your non-toxic Tuesday lives, and she's truly amazing. So it's easy to see how she could be your biggest inspiration. Now, having mentioned that, I was a big fan of your non-toxic Tuesday. My issue was always getting up in time to see it. But what inspired you to start that? Because everybody that gets any substantive live going and keeps it going like yours was, I'm always curious to see what inspired that to get it going.
Yeah, and I think I had it going for at least a year and a half. I haven't done it now this year in 2025. We'll get to that, but it inspired me because when I was first on this app, I was in an early radio with a few people, and I think it was probably an Ashmar morning radio. And I remember some of us talking about we want to bring meaningful conversation, not just sit on lives for the sake of being there, but to actually bring some meaningful conversation and maybe find ways to help one another and be supportive to one another and make this app and just any space that we're in deeper, a deeper place, a deeper, richer place. And so we started talking about, it's funny, the first thing we were talking about was how to reduce toxins in your home, like laundry detergent that you use and things like practical things. And then I thought it kind of had a ring to it, non-toxic Tuesday. And I said, let's just start with that. We'll just start with non-toxic Tuesday and we'll see where it goes. And it really was, anytime I even didn't want to do it. And I'm sure you know this, Big Tank, because you've committed to something here. You do this. And I'm sure there are days, I mean, maybe not, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but there were days when I did not want to do non-toxic Tuesday. I never regretted it once I did it. I never said, why did I do that? That sucked. I always was grateful for doing it. But there were times when I didn't even feel it. And often those were the best ones because I needed it.
You're right, Ianthe. And there are times when I'm not excited about doing an interview. And don't get me wrong, I'm always excited to that people have given their time. I'm sure it's as a courtesy to me and our friendship as much as anything else. But I love this is something I love to do, and more often than not, I look forward to it. But there are days, I mean, like anything else, there are days you're just not 100% excited about it. But as the saying goes, the show must go on. So even if I'm not 100% feeling it, within minutes of actually starting to ask questions, I'm all in again. So the show itself keeps me going. The fact that I get so many amazing people, and you're as good an example of an amazing person I get to interview as anyone I've had. And I'm going to go just as good with just as much quality next week, because next week I interview Denise, Bodies by Design.
Oh,
so
my dear Denise. Yes.
I was going to be announcing that towards the end of the live, and I still will, but I know she's here right now, so I thought I'd mention it. Paul says, what's the difference between living in California and now Georgia?
Where can I start? First of all, I lived in Southern California my whole life since I was 7. So I started out in Massachusetts and then we moved when I was 7 years old. So I was raised in Southern California and I raised my family there. I always felt like I was not meant to be there.
And I don't know if it's because I wasn't born there. I always
Midwest.
felt like it would be, I just felt like I needed to be somewhere. I knew it. I just knew there was something. It offered me lots of opportunities and there were many wonderful things about it. And it was a safe neighborhood where I raised my kids. But the amount of expense to do anything there, and I don't mean just the money, I mean the expense on my nervous system, because everything is driving on freeways. So I would spend easily 3 hours a day in a car and I would never go more than 20 miles. And I'm not
Wow.
exaggerating. And to get, so what happened in California for me is, as I became an adult and had children, and I love to connect with people. And my friends were so busy having to make enough money to live there that we could never see each other. And if we did try to see each other, it was so much effort to get to each other because of all the freeways and all of the traffic. It was really isolating, even though I had such a huge circle of friends there. It felt isolating. When I moved to Georgia, I still miss my friends, but my nervous system is supported. I'm here with all these trees. See this? When I take a breath here, I feel comforted. I am just so much more relaxed in this state. So, and I think, I'm meant to be on East Coast time. I feel better. I'm a morning person. I've always been a morning person. I'm now 3 hours ahead of all my friends in Southern California. I love it. I like being on this time zone. I like being closer to the European time zone as well for my friends that are on the UK time zones, and I get to be closer to them. So the differences are massive. I think that I'm still getting used to it. Again, I've been here since 2019, but those are the main differences.
Okay. Now, my question, again, I like Denise, fair warning, I will be going through your content before I interview you next week. You say you married a cowboy and you also say you're a homesteader. So tell me how is that compared to being a California girl?
Ooh, it's so different. Okay. Yeah. I was like Miss California entrepreneur. And now, I'm the country girl. I'm a country girl. So yeah, it was the difference. So what's interesting is I married my first boyfriend from high school who was not originally a cowboy. And I call him an accidental cowboy. It just happened. He takes care of cattle now. That's what he does full time. We are definitely cowboys here. But it came from both of us just wanting to have a life where we were good stewards of the land, where we were paying attention to where is our food coming from? Where's our water coming from? How are we part of our health on a daily basis? How are we able to control where these things come from more, and then be in a position where we can feed others, maybe help other people, live in a healthier way? So it was asking those questions, and then these answers just started to present themselves to us. And we're empty nesters, so our kids are all grown and gone. And so it's the time for us to be able to reinvent ourselves is now. And we decided to return to the land in a corny way, it sounds, but really, how can we grow more ourselves? How can we control what we eat?
Thank you, Steve.
Drink. Yeah. So really, we didn't plan this, but it happened. And
so what do you find are some of your biggest challenges in homesteading and living more off the land and not so much on the convenience of the big city?
Well, we're not there yet. We're working towards it. And the hardest part is it's the time it takes to return soil to being healthy enough to grow the things that we need to sustain us. It's the time it takes to learn all of these skills that we never had before. And it's also just the willingness to build the plane while you fly it. Because honestly, like I said before earlier, I'm never going to be fully prepared to do this right. I'm just going to do it as I go. So I got chickens and I learned how to take care of chickens. We're about to get goats, so we're going to learn that too. I have no idea what we're doing. We're going to do it.
I will. The advice I give you in that, we had chickens before we got them. Tabby, she did a deep dive on and did a lot of research. So by the time we actually had chickens, she pretty good idea what she was doing. And that's how Tabby approaches everything. So I learn from Tabby every day. But she just educates herself, and then she pulls from whoever she can, her mom, her friends, anywhere where she can get a little bit of info. She does that. So that would be my advice. Just research and, start with a little bit of foundation on you. It's great. Bugs wants to know, what's the best advice you would give to your 18-year-old self?
Oh, be kinder to yourself. It's all going to be okay. Do what you want to do, and trust yourself more.
Absolutely. Great advice. We sort of touched on this, and you say your kids are your biggest inspiration now. I will tell you, I learn from my kids all the time, but I really do.
I really do. My kids are my greatest teachers, and they're incredible people. I'm trying to think, like, even a lesson recently. I don't know. One of the lessons I learned from my son was recently. He taught me to be less, both of them do this for me. They both teach me to be less judgmental about certain choices they're making and to trust them more. Because, of course, I look out for them and I want the best for them. And I don't believe they should listen to me. I believe they should listen to themselves. And I've always tried to show that, listen, really, you have everything you need right here. It's your ruby slipper moment. And yet I will fall into this trap of, but I see something so much better for you. Why are you doing that? Why are you making that? And when I fall into that, instead of them now just saying, Mom, shut up, they don't say that. They're very respectful and they're very interesting. And this is where I learn. And my son, for instance, recently, I was telling him something. I was saying, no, I don't think that's okay. And he said, you know what, Mom? I figured out that for me, it's okay. And here's why. And he broke it all down. And that really taught me something. I got a different perspective. I was able to see it but what I loved is the patience that he had to explain it to me and not just say, shut up, Mom, mind your own business. So I love that. And that was just recently.
Sounds like a wise young man, to be honest with you. Bugs wants to know, if someone's planning to escape California for the East Coast, what are some tips you would give them?
Well, you need to go. I mean, the thing is, it's very hard to leave California. And so the hardest step is actually just getting out. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel like, why would I be leaving the place that everybody says is so amazing and has the most perfect weather? That's what everyone says. It has the most perfect weather, and there are people from all over, and there's so many good things about it. And I would just tell you to try it and know that you can return if it doesn't work. Listen, it's not one or the other. It almost never is one or the other. There's almost always, I absolutely love course correcting, I'll call it, okay? So go on a course. If it doesn't work, you can correct that course and you can go back or you can go in a different direction. But the first and hardest thing is to just move. Just get out.
If I could build on that a little bit, I'm a guy who grew up on the East Coast of Virginia, moved out to the Midwest, but I've also lived in Italy. I would say wherever you live, put your heart in it. Invest yourself in the area you're in and become a part of the community, not just somebody who lives there. And if you do that, you'll find, number one, you're going to connect with people a lot better because you're putting yourself out there, you're putting yourself into the community. And the more you put yourself out there, the more that comes back to you. I truly believe that. So I did it in Italy. I've done it. I grew up in Virginia Beach, and I did it there. And I'm now out of the suburbs, which is where I lived most of my life. I got a little, just under 4 acres of land and a little house with no neighbors. And, we are likely to get meat rabbits this time instead of chickens. And that's what Taffy's talking about. And since she does most of the work, because of my physical issues.
Yeah, I saw YouTube all about that recently with the pros and cons and how much better that would be. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And 4 acres is a lot. You can do a lot with 4 acres.
Oh, yeah. Here's another question. You advise people to do what they love. It's a common theme in a lot of your videos as well. From your perspective, what do you find is typically holds people back from doing what they love?
Afraid to look stupid is one. Afraid to look like a fool. Afraid to be called out as that was a bad idea. Judged. People are really afraid to be judged. If it's something they love, it's meaningful to them, so they don't want to risk that being judged by other people. So oftentimes it's that. I think it's also sometimes it's that they don't really know how to ask themselves, what do I really love? We're often so busy just trying to be trying to survive that we don't feel we even have the luxury of saying, well, what do I really love? That's what I should do. I just need to keep the lights on, and I need to make enough money for that. So we lose sight of even asking ourselves the question. So I think that's true as well.
Ms. Tracy, you said afraid to lose, and there's something to that. But if we go into something, especially with something we love, if you go into it understanding you may fail 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times, however many, before you succeed. But failure is it's an education. If you look at that, and what do they say fail stands for? First attempt at learning. So go into it understanding you may fail a couple times, but if it's something you truly love, it's got to be something you keep pushing for until you succeed. Again, that's something I truly believe. So.
Yeah, and failure is a massive gift, and it's just all perspective, how you look at it. What's failure? It didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to turn out, or it turned out in a way that made life harder for me. Those can be looked at as failures, but they're also always lessons in those. So, yeah.
Well, look at the people that have had tremendous success in their lives, and if you could ever sit and talk to them or even learn about them, you'll find they failed a lot, and you will fail a lot to get to where that's just part of living. You just can't. That's the biggest part to me. You have to remove that fear of failure. Understand it's a part of life. You're going to fail at things from time to time. Don't let it be. Just don't let it make you afraid to try again, and keep trying until you succeed at what it is. Especially if it's something you love. That gives it so much more meaning. And when you finally do succeed, you'll just appreciate it that much more because it wasn't something just handed to you, something you worked for and you got. I do believe that. So that would be my 2-bit to ask. At what point? And now I know you mentor a lot of people. You mentor women about starting businesses. But the advice that you give, and I've heard a lot of it on your non-toxic Tuesdays, aren't just good. It's not just good advice for women. It's good advice for people. When did you realize you had that capacity to motivate people, to be mentor, and to help guide them where they want to go in the first place?
I don't know. I don't know that I even feel it now, honestly, Big Tank. I think that what I am is not afraid to share what I sense for people. And my goal is always, can I help elevate someone's day? Can I help solve a problem? And it's that energy. So I don't know that I would even claim, I know that I have to say I'm a mentor, and I've been paid to be a mentor before. So that's actually something I've done. But in life all the time, I just love to be, I think, you know what, if I think about it, maybe it's because I'm a big sister. I'm the firstborn. I think I was born into the role of mentoring, because when you're a firstborn, for all of you firstborns out there, you're going to probably know what I mean. In the birth order, you're naturally the mentor. You're having to show your younger sibling or siblings, certain things. And so you're naturally mentoring. And I think that that's probably where it came from initially.
Paul would like to know, out of everyone you've mentored, how many have been successful?
I'll give you a story. I don't have a number. I don't do analytics. So here's the thing about me. I am a friend with language and love and visuals, but I'm not such a friend with math. Although I have to know a lot of math in order to do what I do, but I don't think in terms of percentages and stuff like that. However, I will give you a case that makes me very, very proud. One of my, I will say, clients, right, mentees, she came to me and she paid for one-on-one time with me for me to help her with, she was really stuck. She has a company. I'm going to tell you the name of the company because you should all check it out because it's amazing. It's called Purusha People, Purusha people.com. And she, oh,
What a time for her to freeze up with the bunny ears. That's a good look too, by the way.
sorry, did I freeze? She was stuck
Yeah, you
because
did.
her designs, she got to this point, this plateau where she was almost at $1 million in sales a year. And she couldn't get it to $1 million. And this was her, and she'd been doing this company for 15 years, working so hard. She's also a mom of 2 little children. So she hired me to look at what she was doing. And I got
Just hang in there, y'all. She'll be right back.
her whole
Ashmar, I
thing.
have to tell you, you're truly an ambassador. Go ahead.
I looked at her whole line and I said, you know what's happening here? Take your beautiful designs and shrink them down so they're almost like a little discovery and a little secret that people will see on the products instead of being the big. She was doing very large scale designs at the time. I said, I just think if you make that one change. She made the change and she did over $1 million in sales, and she has now consistently done over $1 million in sales the last 3 years in a row.
That is truly amazing.
So that's a success story.
Jay Marie says, how do you leave a toxic or hostile working environment when there's nowhere to go?
There's always somewhere to go. I'm going to call bullshit on that. I love you very much, but I'm going to tell you, there is.
She will be right back.
I promise you, I really do. There has to be. You can't allow yourself to think that there isn't anywhere to go except to be in a place. Otherwise, the toxicity will kill you. That's not okay.
Well,
Your life is worth more than that. That's what I'm going to say.
welcome in, Karen. I agree. And I've had, that's a question that's been put to me by friends a lot. I hate working here, but what else, what can I do?
You're
Go
welcome.
somewhere else. There's always
Yeah.
somebody willing to pay you if you're willing to work. Trust me on that. Even at times when they say jobs are hard to find, I've always been able to find work. And there's always somebody that's willing to pay you if you're willing to put the work in. Trust me on
That's
that.
right. Yes. Yes. So thank you for that thoughtful question. And I just want you to know that you always have a choice. And that whole course correct thing I talked about, there's always a way for you to course correct. Maybe the first choice doesn't work. Maybe the second. I mean, I'll give you an example my mom wouldn't mind me using. My parents were really struggling financially. They had given up everything to help someone else. And they had even given up a house. They did so much for other people and they didn't protect their own bank account. They ended up in a place of dire need financially. And this was many years ago. This was in the early 1990s. And so my parents had to reinvent themselves. They had no money and hearts of gold, but they didn't have a way to really earn a living. Like they couldn't just go right into the job market because they'd always been creative and entrepreneurial, and they didn't have the kind of resume that would just get them a job. My mom became a full-time nanny in Seattle. And as part of that job, it turned out she was the nanny for one of the first founders of Amazon. Yeah. And not someone you've heard of. It wasn't Jeff Bezos, a woman. And she was the nanny for that family in Seattle. And that family opened up many doors for them. They ended up back on their feet and doing fine. But at the time, before she just got a nanny job. My mom was willing to do anything because and rather than fail or work for someone that was disrespecting them or give up their soul to work in an environment that was not for them. So you can do it.
And think about it. If you're working somewhere where you're miserable, you don't leave that misery at the door when you come home. If you're miserable in your job, you end up bringing it home unintentionally, and it affects your home life. It's really not worth it. to be in a job that you're miserable at. There's always going to be something else out there, something else where you're going to be more satisfied, more fulfilled, even if it's not. If you feel like it's not as an important a job as what you had, no job out there to me is worth your peace of mind, and it's certainly not worth infecting your attitude when you're with your family and your people you care about. So there's always, like she says, there's always something else you can do, always somewhere else you can go. Now, maybe it takes a little work to find it, but it's out there. Trust me.
And I applaud you on that, Jay Marie. I love that you said that you're going to, when your upcoming comes in, you're leaving. Good. And it's good that you're waiting for that. You know, I'm not saying you have to be, I want you to be smart and self-preservation there, and knowing that you have the money set aside because of this coming up, the commission. I love it. And then leave. Bye-bye. Yes. You'll be so much happier.
And Mandy, people with high stress because of their work often cut their lives short because of it. That's a sad thing, but it happens a lot. I got to go back. I really particularly love that video where it was 3 things about you. I think it was during the what was that?
Yeah,
Mad Hatter's Quest. The Mad Hatter's
Quest.
Quest.
Mad Hatter, the one that went, my one viral video that was over 150,000. Yeah, I've had no viral videos except that one.
One of those 3 things about you, you said you're pretty psychic. When did you discover this about yourself, and how does it serve you now?
When I was 5 years old, my mom handed me a crystal ball and she said, "What do you see, Ianthe?" And I have to tell you all, I didn't see anything. I didn't see it like a picture, but I immediately got a visual picture in my mind. And in this picture in my mind, I saw my grandmother and my grandfather. I saw that my grandmother was crying and holding her ankle. My grandfather was wearing a hat. And I said this out loud. I was 5 years old. I said to my mom, "This is what I see." My mom picked up the phone and called my grandparents immediately. My grandfather answered. She said, "Papa," because that's what we called him, "Papa, is Mom okay?" And he said, "I can't talk right now, honey. Mom just broke her ankle and I've got to take her to, I think she broke her ankle. I got to take her to the emergency room." And then my mom said, "Wait, Papa, don't hang up. Are you wearing a hat?" And he said, "What are you talking about? Why would you ask me that?" "Papa, are you wearing a hat?" "Yes, I'm wearing a hat." So she hung up the phone. She took the crystal ball away from me and she said, I don't want you looking at this anymore." But that's the first indication I had. And I was encouraged that always that we all have the ability to sense things that we don't necessarily see with our eyes. We all have this. I don't have a special ability, but it was fostered from a young age. I was taught that to watch for that, to listen to that, to honor that, to know that that's real. So how I use it now is that I can't call on it. I can't now think of some, I can't say I'm going to come up. I don't do that. However, I have things that will come all of a sudden. I can't control it. And I'll get this thing, like recently a woman lost a pair of diamond earrings at a friend of mine's house, and I had the keys. So I was letting her in and I was helping her find them. And we even dumped out the vacuum cleaner bag. We went through everything. We took off the sheets. She thought she lost them in the bed. And I said, finally, I got a visual. I didn't mean to. Again, I wasn't asked. She didn't ask me. She didn't say, I heard you're psychic. I saw it on Clapper. Nothing. But I saw that they were in a pocket. And I said, "You might think I'm crazy. I can see your earrings clearly. They're in a pocket." And she immediately said to me, "I don't wear things with pockets. I don't have it in a pocket." And I thought, okay, I'm sure I'm wrong. Don't worry about it. She went home. She was devastated that we couldn't find them. She called me 30 minutes later, freaking out. "Ianthe, I cannot believe how psychic you are. I kept thinking you said pocket, pocket. I had a bag that I brought with me that weekend. The bag had a pocket in it. I didn't remember. I had no recollection of using that pocket. The second I put my hand in there were my diamond earrings. How did you do that?"
Right.
Like, I don't know. So there's your answer. I don't know. And sometimes it's not helpful. Sometimes it comes and it's a thing that's not necessarily helpful. But I always honor it. I always listen to it.
That's amazing. Let me stop right here just for a minute. I mentioned it before, but I want to announce it again. 3:00 next Sunday, the 13th of July. I will be interviewing Body by Design, which is Denise to her
Woohoo!
friends. I'm really looking forward to it. As much as I've been looking forward to this interview, I got to tell you. I have one more question I want to ask, but I'll preface it by saying this. Anybody who knows me and you've seen my content, you know that my happy place is right outside my front door. Get out in the yard, let the sun hit me in the face. Standing in my yard, just that little, as easy, simple as that is my happy place. Now, having mentioned that, Ianthe, what is your happy place?
Anywhere where there's trees and where my children are, my mom, the closest friends to me. I would say in an embrace, in a hug with someone that I love, and with trees.
Yeah, in fact, I have enough shared a picture with a few people already. Being outside with the sun hitting my face is my happy place. I found a way to make that better yesterday. And I have a picture of me sitting in a chair outside my yard holding my 1-month-old granddaughter.
That's the perfect. That's it. That's my happy place too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the only thing that's one of the few things, having my kids around me or my granddaughter in my arms, something like that. Probably the only thing I could say to be happier for me than just being out letting the sun hit me in the face, although that's pretty awesome too. Yeah, Danny, I know you got to see it. I'm glad you got to see it. So, are you still actively mentoring people? Is that something that's always kind of ongoing?
It is. I have taken those offers off of my website, but I just got hired by a company. It's actually funny enough, it's a financial firm, and they hired me to be their creative liaison. So what I do is I'm going into their meetings, and as they have these meetings about all the different things they're doing for their clients, I'm there to give them it is a kind of a mentoring thing, but I'm there to give them ideas that are creative that they wouldn't necessarily think about because they're very black and white thinkers. So I come in with,
Right.
hey, why don't you create a playlist for your client that makes them smile every time they hear it? Things like that. So I am still actively doing some kinds of that kind of service work. When someone who knows me asks, I've been around long enough that I have people got an order yesterday for 6 of my large 3-wick candles, even though they're not on the website. This person knows they can text me and say, I need 6 of those candles. Would you do that for me? And I say yes, because they're a longtime client. So what I love is I'm at this stage in my life where these things, I don't have to advertise as much. I'm not out there pulling and going, yeah, hire me, buy this. I would love to be to this place. I love this moment in time where people who have worked with me over the years are coming to me for a little bit here, a little bit there, and I can be doing what I'm doing and still be creative and still find ways to help our cash flow by doing what I've been doing for years, but without having to push.
That's pretty awesome. That you mentioned kids. How many kids do you have? Do you mind me asking that?
No, not at all. I have 2, and then I have 2 that I call bonus children. And just so it's on my social media here, it's on my account, so I can talk about it out loud. But we did lose my stepson. We lost him. He passed away in January of this year. That's partly why I haven't been active on the app. I haven't been as active, and I haven't been doing Non-Toxic Tuesday because there's so much to go through in losing a child, losing someone in your family. So I have 4 and 3 that are living, and I also have, I'm the godmother to 3 as well. So 3 more that are my godchildren.
That's pretty amazing. I am a godfather to my cousin's 6-year-old son now. I can't believe he's 6. But and yeah, I'm a girl dad. I got 3 and 3 grandchildren now. So kids
I have 2
to
grandchildren. We have 2 grandchildren. We just visited in Texas. So we have 2 grandchildren. They're from my bonus daughter. My biological children haven't had kids yet, so that's coming. Well, I'm so excited. The more the merrier. I actually wrote this to a friend yesterday. I was watching, there's a family online that I love, and they have 8 children, and I was watching
Welcome
that,
in,
and
Lena.
I called Lena. I texted my friend and I said, I think I missed my calling. I was supposed to have 10 children. And I really feel like that. I really do. And I have to be careful what I say because I manifest like I don't mean to, but it happens. So maybe I'll end up with 10 children somehow. It's not going to happen biologically. That ship has sailed, but I would love to take care. I have more maternal energy to give, I guess is what's happening. And I just feel like I don't know how I only ended up with 2. So I'd be happy to take care of everyone's kids and grandkids.
Yeah. Now, I don't get to see them. I was married for 10 years. I had 3 stepchildren, and they all have kids. So in addition to my 3 biological grandchildren, there are 6 other they're still my grandchildren to me. But and they range in age. They range in age from the baby is a month old, and the oldest is 15.
Wow.
So
Hey, Martha. And thank you, Sissy. I'll take them.
welcome in, Martha. By the way, if you don't mind me doing this just quickly, Martha, I'm going to make a video about it, but I wanted you to know I got your book.
I have her books too. Yay.
Yeah, she hasn't gotten mine yet. I ordered your book. I'm supposed to get it like the 3rd week of July, and I will sign it and then pass it on to you, Martha, just so you know. But I ordered it when I said I was going to. There are so many things I could ask about, but I want to do, this is what I want to be the last thing for this interview. And Denise, pay attention because you'll get it next week. I have decided I'm starting to offer to my guests an opportunity to do a shout out, whether it's people in their lives or things. What the shout out is for, it doesn't matter to me, but I just think it's a nice thing to do for my guests to give you an opportunity to do a shout out.
Okay, here's a weird thing that's coming to me. I'm going to say this might be an odd way to do a shout out, but my shout out is this. The next time anybody that hears me can hear me right now, everybody that's here, the next time that you hear any gossip, here's my shout out. I want you to stop it with, it stops with you. It doesn't continue. It doesn't go anywhere else. My shout out is in.
Here we go again. I will. Ashmar.
I mean,
That
I got cut off, right? I got cut off.
Yeah, you got froze almost immediately into your shout out.
It's because Clapper doesn't want me to say this. I'm saying don't gossip on this app. My shout out is to all of you, that everybody here, I thank you so much for being here. And I want to tell you that it is a huge, huge, huge energetic shift to make on the social media app. But please, if you hear gossip, don't let it stop with you. Don't share it. That's it. Let it stop with you. So my shout out is to all of you who are putting out authentic content here, who are really trying to do your very best, who are great listeners, who are wanting to elevate the space wherever you go. That is my shout out. I don't even have to say your names, but I want to say all of your names. You know who you are. And if this is landing on you and you're saying that's not me, it can be you. And that means I'm shouting you out too. All it takes is for you to say, I'm not going to gossip. I'm going to spread incredible high vibration. And if somebody gossips to me, I'm going to just, however you do it, bless them, surround them in light, love them, thank them, and don't spread it. Don't share it. Just share good. That's it. That is my shout out. And I know that's weird.
Okay.
That's my shout out.
I am going to shout out you, Ianthe. You're one of the most positive. You're one of the most positive parts of Clapper I've ever encountered. I love what you do. I love your non-toxic Tuesdays, and I really look forward to those coming back whenever you're prepared to do that. And not before that. But as much as as much as I look forward to interviews every week, and I've interviewed some amazing people, and I've got amazing people scheduled still. This one and next week, you and Denise are 2 of the interviews I've really, really looked forward to, because I think the things that you guys do, the positivity you bring, and and in Denise's case, the encouragement to take care of yourself physically, and your encouragement to take care of yourself mentally and emotionally. Y'all are truly amazing to me, and I was shocked, but very pleased that you both agreed to let me interview you and to get you in back-to-back weeks. To me, is a blessing, absolutely a blessing.
Oh. Well, I'm grateful, and thank you, Sissy. Thank you. I'm grateful, and thanks everyone for hanging in there with the glitches. That's part of Clapper's charm.
Yeah.
And I have not, saying yes to you. I said yes immediately, and then as it was getting closer, I was regretting it, to be fair, because I haven't been on the app a lot, and I thought, what am I going to say? How am I going to? But this was so nice, and it's just nice to be with you and to be with all of you. And I feel, again, the reason that I joined and stayed on this app for over 2 years are the people that are here, these beautiful people who have become friends also outside of the app. And Denise is my friend outside of the app, and she's been my personal trainer. She's amazing. I can't wait for next week. You're really smart to have her on.
I'm really looking forward to next week as well.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Ianthe. I always enjoy talking to you, whether we're just in a live together, whether it's in your non-toxic Tuesday lives, because you get, one of the things I love about you is you give equal weight to anyone, especially in those lives that have something to say. Not everybody does that. So that's a gift. I want you to know, and I really appreciate you. This has been one of the highlights of Big Tank Talk since I even started this. I want you to know that. And it's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be able to interview you, and I really enjoyed it. And having said that, y'all, and with an extra shout out to Fear the Reaper, Paul, who does my screen recording for me.
Everyone, and be patient with me as my glitches happen, and I'm here.
Everybody have a wonderful Sunday, and that's a wrap.